So we would get into these battles with other DJs. Everybody thought that they were better than Disco Rat or would try to be better. But what they fail to realize is Rat used to pull his tables out at any time during the day on any given day. And he would practice his cuts. He would practice what song he was going to fade into the next one. He would practice being able to keep a certain beat going for as long as I wanted to rap before bringing in a hook. And so he cultivated that gift, and that kind of um, excellence that he brought to the game made all of us want to be great at what we did if we were part of Disco Rat's crew. From the lights, Andy would practice for hours, and I would sit there and write and run over these raps over and over and over and over again until they were perfect, and I knew them at the top of my head. And so we would go to places like Wagner Ballroom. We would go to Hotel Philadelphia and battle like Sex Machine and Captain Boogie, and but it was healthy fun. It wasn't the kind of battle you had to worry that you was gonna lose your life when it was over with. It was good, clean fun in the 80s. Rap was something that made you feel good. Rap was something that you can show where you were from, what was going through your mind at the time, maybe what we were experiencing in our communities. We were able to rap about these things and not have to worry about whether somebody was going to put a gun to our heads like we see in the hip hop world now. It's totally different. We would get to the point where we would be battling. Now, one thing about rap, guys or girls would battle you. It didn't matter if you were male or female. Guys and girls would want to battle you, and I would rap, and guys would rap and try to take it, easy on me. But I wasn't taking it easy on them because I had to maintain the godmother of disco reputation. And so since rap was the godfather of disco, hey, I'm just gonna be the guy mommy of disco with baby sis on my shirt. And so we would battle girls. I can remember girls coming out and rapping and using so much profanity, and the guys would love it. And I said, I just refuse to go that route. Now, did I use profanity back then? Yes, I wasn't saved back then. I partied, I drank, but I just didn't feel like I had to be less of who I was by using a language that clearly denoted that they had a small vocabulary. And for me, rap was about proving how many words you can use and make them rhyme. And so I wasn't going to get into the profanity. I can remember around 1981 or 82, they did this citywide rap contest, and we would have to come down. You had to be nominated for it. Now I don't know who nominated me, but I thank them. But I don't know who nominated me. And every year I would get this letter: "Hey, come on down. We're having the contest," and it would be held at different places. And so I would go down, and you would have to rap while you were there. And every year, 81, 82, 83, I won the rap contest every year. I never went 84 and 85 because by then my daughter was beginning school, and I was like, this is something else that I want to do, take my life in a different direction. But I remember my mother sending me a picture for Christmas with this huge trophy, and I'm so skinny, and this trophy is so huge. It was the 3-foot trophy they would give away every year, and I was so proud to take the picture with that because it was an accomplishment back then that you just didn't see in our community. And so whereas we were here in New York being blown up and everybody was hype about New York, they didn't know that there was something that was started in Philadelphia way before we even heard about New York, way before Sequence came out. Lady B had done her album To the Beat, y'all. We just didn't get in Philadelphia the attention that New York got. We would have to go to New York, and we would have to go to these shows, and we would have to go to these clubs and perform if we wanted to be known. And if you didn't stay in the game, nobody kept up with you because you were not a New Yorker. Or so they assumed. They didn't know that I was originally from New York and just doing it down here in Philadelphia. So that was a great time to be able to just be with Captain Boogie, Sex Machine, Disco Crab. I can't remember these guys from West Philly, something funk, and I can remember one time Rat said we're opening at the King Arena, and I was like, "What do you mean we're opening at the King Arena?" And he said we're opening for the Parliament Funkadelics, and I was like, "Stop playing! Like, there were no rappers to open up for." But actually, he was. We were on stage. We actually got to rap, and I can remember looking from behind stage and seeing this sea of people. You couldn't even count them. It was this sea of people, and I was like, how am I going to go out here and perform before all of these people? But one of the great things was they would turn the house lights down. So you really were like performing into darkness and you could not see. Yo, that sounds like a word I need to preach later. Performing into darkness, and you couldn't see who was in the darkness, but you could be heard. And so we ended up opening. That was like one of the greatest things we did, besides being at the Civic Center, opening for different groups. Being at Hotel Philadelphia. Hotel Philadelphia was crazy. If you had a party at Hotel Philadelphia, you were major. But what was crazy, it was one way in and one way out. One way up on that elevator, and one. We were so into partying, we didn't even realize it was a danger. We didn't even know that we could have been caught in a fire and died in that place because it was one way in and one way out. But we performed at some really really great places, most of the parks around the city, and just got to meet a whole lot of people. I remember one young lady. Her name was Eilette. I don't remember what her rap name was, but I can remember her. I think I left when I went to school, or she went to school with someone that I knew. And I remembered her from school, and I used to always tell her, "Oh, you're such a pretty girl." She had these green cat eyes, and I was like, "You just need to be so nice and come on and rap." And then when she opened up her mouth to rap, it used to be so much profanity, and I used to be like, "Alette, don't do that." But a lot of the culture for the rap scene, because guys were using profanity, was for us to be like them. And I wanted to do what they did without being like them. I wanted to hold on to my femininity. I will say I probably was very provocative back then. And I'm not talking about getting naked because I never had to take my clothes off. But just the way we would carry ourselves and the raps that we would have, I felt it was better to be more sensual than it was to be a potty mouth. And I didn't want to be that individual whose language was bad. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Fresh Prince was so popular in so many areas. And if people don't know, he's from Philadelphia, born and raised. Um, he never uses profanity, and that gave everybody an opportunity to be able to hear him. And so I felt like nobody could cut off my voice because I wasn't saying anything or using any language that would keep them from being able to hear me.